Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to Tapcaf Transmissions, the only Star Wars podcast that is consistently 9 minutes late. I am Corey, joined as always by Justin EckhartsLadder, Mr. Twitter Drama. How are you doing tonight?
Good. Feeling fiery. Feeling the just the mention of that stirring emotion in my heart. So thanks.
And joining us for his third, fourth, or even more time on the morth time on the podcast, we have Mark from the Templin Institute coming to educate us from his accredited institution. How are you doing, Mark?
Good. I didn't realize this was my morth time. I thought it was my second. What was the other ones?
There's been 2 Halos, I think, right?
You did at least one Halo. Then when we did like the some of the video game announcement streams that we kind of counted as episodes.
Yeah.
Okay.
He didn't do Alphabet Squad, did he?
No. I don't think we've ever done a Star Wars book with Mark, very sadly.
Okay. I've apparently forgotten everything because I thought we'd only talked about the High Republic, but maybe that was Alex's thing. The point is, I'm glad to be here now, even if I'm going to forget about this, apparently, by tomorrow.
Yeah, well, that's the way it goes. If you follow us on your podcast platform of choice, you'll get a little notification when we upload, and that's a reminder, guys. If you're listening, just go ahead, follow us on your podcast platform of choice, and drop a review. It really helps out. I tell you guys every episode, and there's like one review a year, and it's from the same dude over and over again. So, new reviews, please.
Do they have to be good, or can they be accurate?
I'll settle for accurate, but good would be preferred.
All right.
When we say we want good reviews, we don't mean we want positive reviews, though. We just want reviews that are funny, even if they're insulting to us. Mm-hmm. Like, our favorite review, I think, is one of the first ones we got that was like 2 paragraphs of just yelling at us for calling Luke an incel once.
So, I think that was our first ever review.
Yeah. And that one sticks in my mind as a high point for my life.
So
yeah, I like the one after we called the Queen a Nazi. Well, that was a good one too. God rest her soul. God rest her soul.
So the game plan for tonight, we're going to be talking about Andor episode 11, as well as getting some of Mark's thoughts on the show as a whole, because we haven't checked in with him on that. We also have a few other fun, tangentially related topics from Twitter, if that feels like bringing those up. Any other Star Wars news that you guys have seen in the last little while, though, that's worth mentioning? Did you watch Grogu Zen animation thing?
Yeah, I'm shocked we didn't dedicate a whole video or whole podcast to that.
I did not watch it, but I'm happy to discuss it in detail.
I mean,
well, do you have 3 minutes?
Nothing happened. It's cute animation, but there's nothing really happened. It's a screensaver with Grogu bouncing around with some dust bunnies.
Okay. Yeah, I got a 40-minute video in the works about how its government structure is just completely inaccurate.
Physics in this are all wrong.
The dust bunnies don't behave like they do in the previous movies, because they were in previous movies. That's for real.
This Grogu video changes everything.
Yeah, the dust bunnies are in the Spirited Away and My Neighbor Totoro.
Oh, you mean in prior Ghibli stuff? I thought you meant in prior Star Wars things.
Yeah. No.
See, so does that mean those Ghibli movies are now part of the Star Wars canon?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The problem is, I thought they looked more like COVID viruses than dust bunnies. So
I think they're supposed to be like soot, if I remember correctly. Like, I think that's what they. Yeah.
All right. I didn't think we'd have this long of a conversation about that. Anyways.
No, speaking as someone who's never seen it, I think you're both right in a way.
Oh, wow. I'm glad we're back in grade 7 book reports. Now, to build off what Mark said, I would like to point out nothing. I would like.
That movie was a land of contrasts, if you ask me.
There's a Friends episode where I think Rachel doesn't read the book when she goes to a book club, and we could just rip that off and see.
That's basically my life. What do you mean?
Watching Friends and ripping it off for videos?
No, having a book club and not reading the book. That's what this podcast is.
Oh, well, you listen to the audiobook, is what you say.
I mean, there's certain times where, like, there's never been a time. There have been times where, like, I've been really stressed out. I'm like, I'm just going to read the Wikipedia for this one, but I've never done it as of yet. Anyway, if we weren't on our break we were on right now, I'd probably be at that point.
Well, last week we didn't have an episode because I was actually meeting Eck in person for the first time. So that was fun. We'll have There was one picture taken of us together, which will never be released because me and Charlie look absolutely terrible in it. I look like a 50-year-old Russian mobster that's balding and...
So what, you want the picture not to be accurate? I don't get it.
Did you say you met for the first time?
Yes.
Yeah, I'd met Charlie before, but never Corey.
Oh, wow, that's surprising to me because you guys aren't that far apart.
No, we're not. No.
It's only like a hour flight.
COVID, honestly. But if COVID hadn't happened, we would have. He almost came last time Charlie did, but, well, there was a lack of planning. I think this is the big thing.
No.
There was a Charlie in the works.
Yeah.
That was my first time meeting anyone from YouTube at all. So that's my first work meeting. It was.
Did you enjoyed it? Yeah, you would.
I did until my eye got demolished.
Yeah, you got you got Grogu and the dust bunnies in your eye.
Pretty much. Like I when I got to the airport and I was sitting there for like 5 hours without it getting better, and then was like getting home, and the next day it was still kind of fucked up. I was getting seriously concerned, but then yesterday I was able to take off the eye patch and things worked out.
Nice. Okay, good. We did get a bit of news. This was a couple days ago. The is Wave 6 of the Essential Legends collection. Yoda Dark Rendezvous, book 1 of the Republic Commando series. That's Hard Contact. Presumably the other ones will be added at some point now as well. And the third one was Dawn of the Jedi.
Dawn of the Jedi, yeah.
Which, yeah, whatever.
They're going pretty broad.
I'm in favor of it.
Yeah, you are.
They are
You're
going.
A strong defender of Dawn of the Jedi. Is that your favorite Star Wars book?
I think all three were solid picks, and I think we're really going to see the ramifications of this play out in the following days, weeks, and dare I say years.
We should read one of them, Corey. Mark obviously knows them all word by word already, so there's no point.
There's a couple of does in there.
Of the three, which would you say is your favorite between Yoda Dark Rendezvous, Dawn of the Jedi, and Hard Contact?
Probably Dark Rendezvous, to be honest.
I was asking Mark because he's got deep thoughts on all of them.
Oh, that's a tough one. I think the second one you said.
Yeah,
Dawn of the Jedi. Yeah, it's definitely a fan favorite.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about the big reveal at the end of that one?
I thought they set it up a bit too much to the point where when it was revealed, it's like, okay, I've seen this coming.
Yeah, like you kind of knew by the end of it the Jedi were going to dawn, and then
yeah. We're going to talk about Andor soon, right? Because I got nothing to say about any of this.
What have you thought about the series as a whole before we get into the nitty-gritty of episode 11?
Andor as a whole, I think, I can't imagine a better series. And it's such a refreshing change of pace to be on a podcast like this, talking about something I actually enjoy. Because I'm so used to being the guy that's like, I didn't think this was very good. But I've gone from Boba Fett and Kenobi just being like kind of done with Star Wars. I was of the opinion that like, they were out of ideas and that I like had nothing to say. And then Andor comes out and it's like, oh shit, this is like maybe the best piece of Star Wars content ever made.
What did you think of Rogue One?
I liked it. I think I don't know. It didn't really stick with me the way it stuck with some people. I thought it was good. If they had done more movies like that sooner, I think maybe I would have been I don't know, more impressed with it. But I mean, now retroactively, I think I'm going to enjoy it more next time I see it.
Right. So
thanks to Andor.
Did you have any expectations for Andor coming into it, or was it kind of that'll exist?
I kind of did. I forget the writer's name. Is it
Tony Gilroy?
Tony Gilroy, yeah, because he was involved in Andor, and he also did some like political thriller stuff, as I recall. Born. Yeah, so I was like, okay, that could be good, but my expectations were pretty low after Kenobi and Boba Fett. But then the first trailers come out, it's like, oh, okay, this might be something.
Yeah, I think that's kind of that's how I felt too.
Yeah. But even in my most optimistic expectations, I did not, foresee the show being as good as it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I probably came in higher on an Andor than other people. I think I've said repeatedly, where like Rogue One is probably my favorite Star Wars movie. So when Andor was announced, I was probably one of the like 6 people that were legitimately excited for it. But even then, like what we've gotten has been so much better than I expected.
Mark, I know you're a big like traditions guy. or like you've got these little things that you do. Do you have like a routine for Andor when it comes on? Like, are you a 3 a.m. guy, or I guess for you it's midnight, right?
Yeah, big time. So my what do you call it? Tradition or
routine or
routine. Let's say I try to get like a good meal ready for 1 a.m., which is when it is on in my neck of the woods.
Is it always short ribs?
No, that was the first time I did short ribs. Before it was like homemade pizza and homemade wings. I did those blue noodles once, and they came out kind of gross. But yeah, for me, it's cook something over the day, like kind of complex, and then have it ready for 1 a.m. and just watch that thing. And then I usually text Alex of Star Wars Explained some stupid comment. I don't know.
How complex were the noodles to do? Like, if you were cooking the noodles all day, that might explain why they were not the best.
Well, the noodles weren't cooked all day. What I did was I did like a marinade for some flank steak. Yeah, really getting that going. And the noodles were the last minute thing. But I just added blue food coloring to these like yellowish noodles, and it ended up looking like it wasn't great. I think there's a photo of it on my Twitter somewhere, but there is room for improvement.
It looked fine in the picture. Like, it looked blue enough.
Yeah, there was some color correction going on there.
Okay.
Color replacement, more like in Photoshop.
Yeah, the Templin Culinary Institute is not always reflecting reality.
Someone would do that? Just go on the internet and lie?
But they're nudes? Mark posting doctored nudes on the internet.
But no, I'm curious now. Do you guys have your tradition, your routine, or whatever it is?
I watched it in the morning, so because for me it's not till 4, so it's way too late.
Yeah, it's a little brutal.
Usually I'm like, I'm a night owl. Like, I'm usually working till like 3 or 4, but to stay up till 5, I'm usually up at 9. It's not worth it. So I usually just watch it in the morning, usually with my daughter when she's taking her nap. So
yeah, like I'll usually go back and forth, and like my sleep schedule is not consistent at all. So sometimes I'll be watching it and then making whatever videos about it right as it's released. Other times I'll wake up and do it. So I do eat chicken wings most of the time while watching it, but that's mostly just because I always eat chicken wings.
It's mostly because I'm 9.
Around here we call them Mandalorian wings. I think it's pretty good.
No.
It's not great.
Okay, I'll come with something better.
I will, but I need to be not on the spot. You called them chicken wings earlier yourself, so I don't know.
Well, yeah, because I didn't want to, like launch off the gate with Mandalorian wings, and people would be like, "What the hell is that about?"
All right. Well, I have a freezer down here that's basically full of Mandalorian wings that I bought when they were on sale. So I'm gonna be able to do the finale next week, even though,
Did you watch it?
I haven't yet because I wanted to do the podcast.
Okay.
Not spoiled. Did you watch it?
Yes.
And I didn't want to make Mark jealous.
Oh, wait, you guys got the screeners or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah, which is weird. I'm not sure if we were actually supposed to, because they didn't send an NDA or anything.
Yeah, I didn't know about it, but like Justin messaged me because there are people talking about it on Twitter.
The same people. That fucking drives me crazy, by the way. The same people who they get a screener, and I swear they get more out of bragging about it than... It's not impressive.
Yeah, that annoys the hell out of me when you see these tweets and it's like,
just got something sweet in my inbox.
I like the ones that's like reviews that stick the fact they got the screener in there for like no real purpose. It's like, I had the screener a week ago, and I just want to say that tonight's episode was great. It's like, oh, thanks for letting me know.
I'll mention that I was like given advanced access or given a free copy of something just for like disclosure purposes.
Mm-hmm.
But I try not to like, you know what I'll do that to people that I know, but I won't do that as like part of content or to random internet strangers.
Well, speaking as someone who didn't get the screeners, I'm insanely jealous and angry.
I don't know, because I had a very real thought. Like, do I want to watch this all at once, or should I just wait? Like, should I wait and just do it with everyone else? And I honestly don't feel like I don't feel like watching both of them back to back was a real benefit or anything. Because I don't have it to look forward to anymore.
And having you can't watch it on a TV really. And you
got Chromecast now, but
I don't. I can't do that with my stuff. But I'd have to like go get the thing on my phone, and it doesn't work out very well. But you also have like your name plastered over the middle, so you can't it kind of interferes with the viewing.
Oh my god, that Star
experience.
Destroyer says EckhartsLadder. Oh, never mind.
I'm canon. I'm finally canon.
Well, Eck is canon in Halo, aren't you?
I don't think so.
I thought there was just like a part of the Halo Infinite campaign where there was a voice in the background just talking about how bad the whole thing was.
Yeah, no, not yet. Maybe at some point. Maybe I'll mod it in there or something.
Like 9042 dickish asshole or something.
Well, remember they did that with the Red versus Blue guys in Halo 3?
Yeah.
In Rat's Nest or whatever?
Yeah. Now we're seeing the downsides of including Rooster Teeth too much in anything.
Yeah, now the Rat's Nest kids come home.
They are the Rat's Nest.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? But yeah, so next week should be very, very, very exciting. I'm not gonna say whether I liked it or not, but I'm just it's gonna be awesome to have everyone kind of excited. It just makes me wish. I know I've said it a million times. It makes me wish the episode dropped at like a reasonable time so more people could watch it live. And I know that's kind of a North American centric view, but it's not convenient for anyone right now. Not even, maybe there's somewhere where there's, but like even for like the west coast of Europe, it's not convenient for them either. So I don't know.
If I had a real job, yeah, this would be a nightmare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Mark, did you see the announcements about them putting the first 2 episodes on cable and I think also on Hulu?
Oh yeah, and my thought was the same as everyone else's. Like, why not do the first 3?
Yeah.
But I hope that so there was that report that came out that said like viewership for Andor was terrible, and then that same guy put out a subsequent thing saying, "Oh wait, I like messed this up. It's actually better than I initially reported." So like, is viewership like still mid tier or where is it? Do we know?
I mean, we never know because even when we get real numbers, they're from Nielsen, and they're ultimately just surveys and estimates.
Yeah,
it's obviously not doing quite as well as like the Big Daddy shows like Mando or Kenobi. But I don't know. Season 2 is confirmed anyway, so
I just hope this wasn't like a desperate move, where it's like, oh, we got to put this out somewhere else so more people see it.
See, I could see where you'd be coming from with that, like where that idea might come from. But I also saw people saying like that's also evidence that the show is bad. And to me, like even if it's not performing as well as some of those other shows, it's showing that they do still have so much confidence in it, which makes me really hopeful for them allowing this kind of project in the future or going forward more with stuff that kind of matches this tone or being a bit more experimental with what they'll do.
Absolutely, 100%.
So I'm hoping it's only a good sign that they were doing that rather than like any kind of last-ditch effort to save a sinking ship. It's just like, we really want to show everyone this because it's really cool.
I kind of wonder whether a show of this quality could have been a real help for like the sequel trilogy era. Like I kind of wonder, say we didn't get Andor, but we got a show that was equally as good, but set in the new era. Like how would that have? I just kind of wonder whether people would be more interested in that, or
It is kind of telling they keep going back more or less to the same era. Mando being the one. Well, I guess no, but was Boba Fett in the same era too? Maybe I'm full of shit here.
Yeah,
Boba Fett was around the same time as Mando. That's why they were.
I'd say they're filling up that era really heavily, like the in between 6 and 7 era. But we still haven't really, besides Resistance, there's still been no true like sequel trilogy show.
I think we'll get there.
Yeah, I think so too.
It needs a show to come in and like fix everything.
Yeah, I think a show could do a lot to help. Like people say the Clone Wars did that for them. For me, I never really liked the Clone Wars that much when I was growing up, so it didn't do that for me. But I know a lot of people kind of liked the prequel trilogy a lot more after that.
Part of it is also having a little bit of distance, where like we're almost to the point. I guess we are to the point past Rise of Skywalker, where like Clone Wars came out relative to Episode 3. But doing any kind of new project in that era is still a really big commitment on like, this is what we're going to be exploring beyond that too. So it's understandable that they'd be taking a bit more time to flesh out some other periods first. Because like nothing that they do with Mando and Book of Boba Fett and Andor and all that is going to set too much up for like the next 20 years of Star Wars history. Like, if they're going to do anything in the sequel trilogy period, it's probably going to be figuring out how much do they want to involve Rey or Finn or those characters.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I do think we'll get there, though.
Yeah, at some point, I agree. I agree. I agree.
I hope I'm proven wrong, but I just don't think that era can support as many good stories, right? Because it was so brief from the destruction of Hosnian Prime to the end of the First Order or Eternal, whatever it was. It's like a year.
There's like 5 years in there total with the Cold War and everything, though.
I guess.
From Force Awakens to Rise of Skywalker. Like
No,
Last
it's not
Jedi
that
to Rise
long.
of Skywalker is shorter, but or maybe I'm thinking from Resistance.
Yeah, because I think it's only like a year in total, right?
I often
think so,
conflate
yeah.
the period between New Jedi Order and Dark Nest with the period that the sequel trilogy covers. So
It's so fucking weird.
What do those words mean?
So yeah, the Battle of Exegol is in 35. And the Battle of Starkiller is in 34. So yeah, it's just a
Is
year.
it? Oh, I thought that was earlier.
Yeah. No,
Well,
just a year.
when's the First Order actually like, basically take over the galaxy? Is that with Starkiller Base, or is that
Does anyone
Yeah.
know? Was that
Yeah.
ever clear at any point?
Yeah, I'd say it all kind of happened in that 1 year.
I don't know. I think the strongest part of the sequel trilogy was what they did with a lot of the characters, what they set up with a lot of the characters. So I think other content with like Rey and Finn has a lot of potential to be really good. So
Oh yeah,
I'd
hard
still be
agree.
looking for
The
it.
characters in those movies are like spectacular, and the Finn Poe dynamic alone, I think, could carry a series.
Yeah, and Oscar Isaac has said he's back on board now if they wanted to do stuff with him. So I think a lot of them will kind of go down that road of once they have a bit more distance.
Yeah.
Yeah. As soon as those actors start owing money to the mob, we're going to see more sequel trilogy content.
I think they could have done something interesting with like the Exegol stuff too. They just obviously didn't have like if they had that planned out, I think that could have been kind of interesting, but they didn't.
Yeah, I remember
so.
you were tweeting out some concept art that looks
Yeah.
way cooler than anything we got in the movie.
Yeah.
More
Yeah.
weird Sith stuff would be cool.
Yeah, I want to see like the giant like Sith bronze penis that they all have to like worship every night.
All right.
That's
well,
odd. I don't remember seeing that one.
That ziggurat at the back, yeah, that's actually a cock.
You know where they didn't go to Exegol, though, was in Star Wars Andor Episode 11 in particular. Maybe the other episodes they did. Maybe in Episode 12 they go there.
Mm.
But
Getting us back on track. I respect the hell out of that.
thanks for calling.
I don't, but yeah, let's talk about it. All right. Actually, I want to know, Mark, before we get to that, just kind of dig through, how have you liked the progression of the show? Do you have a particularly favorite arc? Like, how is this kind of last one?
Oh God! I
'cause
mean,
they've been so diverse, really.
my praise for the show cannot go far enough. I think every episode is spectacular. And when the prison stuff was coming up, I was like, oh man, I'm never a fan of like prison stories. Like, I hope we can skip through that relatively quick. And then they get there, and in the first like 20 seconds, where like they're saying stuff like on program, and you're getting a sense of what it actually is. Like that internal culture in that prison
Yeah.
is like so fascinating. And and that's like every episode is my favorite. Like I don't know how. I'm not good at reviewing stuff apparently because I think it's all great.
Were you in from the beginning, or did it take you time with the first arc to kind of get up to speed with it?
Yeah, no, I was in from the start. I can't
This
remember
man was
what
simping
episode it
from
was.
episode 1.
It might have been like the first, like whenever like the first kind of big speech was. I don't remember what it was because there's so many good ones, but there was just some lines of
episode 3,
dialogue
maybe.
where it's like, oh, this is like really elevated from the Filoni stuff, and it really appealed to me. So yeah, I was in pretty early, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do wonder, and I mean, I was wondering whether the finale can do it justice. I guess my main concern after episode 11 was, for one, how are they going to meaningfully tease season 2? And it does kind of seem like most of the characters are headed to the same place. Like, will that feel contrived? Will it feel like, kind of a messy way to wrap things up? I guess that was a little bit of a concern after episode 11. I'm not being critical here. I just, if I want to talk about one thing here, because we are wrapping down towards the end of the season.
Well, it's scary, right? Because expectations are so high now. Even like a good episode that doesn't quite reach the level of the previous ones might be seen as a letdown.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
because who all do we know is going to be on Ferrix? Like, we know,
we know Cyril's going there. Deidre might go back. We didn't get any Deidre in episode 11, did we?
I think we got maybe a little bit. We got her at the very beginning. She's on Ferrix, like when she's inside the base. So she's presumably still there, I think. And I
Cassian's
guess that was my
probably going.
one concern.
Melshi
Yeah.
is not. Melshi, I think we're
Melshi's
done
off
with
partying.
till either or season 2 or Rogue One.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wouldn't expect to see him in the show again, actually.
I don't know. I think he might be as Cassian gets more involved in the actual rebellion. Because it seems like they were consistently working together until Rogue One.
Yeah, you're right. And it does seem like the season 2 is going to take place over a lot of time. So there could
5 years.
I'm just waiting for them to say we were lying. We decided to break season 2 up to season 2 and season 3. How many people would love that?
Yeah.
And the original plan was 5 seasons, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bring back that plan, please.
I don't know how much different that actually would have been in number of episodes, because I think it was 5 shorter seasons compared to these 2 longer ones. Mm-hmm. Where it was probably a couple more episodes, but like it might have been closer to the standard 5 or 6 episodes per season that other shows were getting.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just it seems like they were so careful with season 1, and it feels like if they do this, they're going to lose a lot of the kind of nuanced storytelling that they got with season 1 if they are jumping around that much. Because part of the reason why Marva's death hit so hard is because, you know, we saw her, and I mean stuff like that can still happen, but it's going to be a little bit difficult with these big time jumps in there.
Yeah. If they decide to maybe space that out a bit more, then like, you know, I'd be okay with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at this point they have my full confidence. So whatever they want to do, I'm on board until it ends up sucking.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, so let's get right into the actual episode itself. We start off just kind of scrolling through. We start off with the return of the TIE Reaper, which is a nice Rogue One ship, the shuttle that you'll know from if you've played Star Wars Squadrons, especially.
Yep. Those were the days.
I gotta say, I love the scene kind of right after that where BMO is like freaking out and he's got the like, coffee or the tea on his head and it's sloshing around, and it's just like, that was like the first time I felt like someone actually gives a shit about an astromech droid.
Right? That scene almost fucking broke me. Like, this is Star Wars always comes up to the edge of like trying to touch on treating droids like people, but no one ever quite gets there. And like most of the protagonists we have are complete dicks to droids, especially Han and Obi-Wan. But like every droid needs a brasso. Like he was treating him like an actual being who just lost someone important to him, and I loved it.
I don't know what it is, but that droid has its hooks in me. Like usually in every Star Wars show, there's this stupid
Mark.
Yeah, there's that stupid cute thing you're supposed to love, like Grogu and I guess maybe Omega or something. And I always just find them irritating. But that droid, man, like
Omega,
it made me feel emotions again, and like I can't explain it.
I just love that it's like, if you see it, it's not cute. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, the way it acts is cute. Like it looks like a fucking box, but you know, it's almost like like even the eye has expression sometimes, and like the way it like what they do. I think like when modeling these droids that they want to be cute, like R2 or BMO, I think they try to make them look like dogs, honestly, or behave like dogs.
Yeah.
So like, one thing I noticed is that when Brasso goes back to Marva's house and BMO convinced him to have a sleepover, he's basically like sitting in his charging pad, and it really reminded me of like a dog sitting in his bed, just like
an old dog, right? Like he can't hold his charge anymore, and it's just it's so sad, and I have such pity for that droid, and I love him.
And one thing a little thing that I've liked throughout the show too is that like anytime someone sees BMO, they like touch him, they like rub his head, like it's just like, yeah, like this is a thing with feelings, and and Brasso gives him an opportunity, like Corey said, to, you know, say goodbye to Marva alone. It's like the droid has dignity as well, because sometimes people are nice to droids, but it's very, very rare that they treat them with any sort of like dignity.
Yeah, even Luke, he was talking to a vacuum cleaner when he first got like C-3PO and them.
Yeah.
I mean, I think everyone's kind of given C-3PO the vacuum cleaner. Like, C-3PO's got serious anxiety. Do you know how awful it's got to be C-3PO during an asteroid chase? And they're like, just shut him off.
God, I love that Rise of Skywalker moment where like he's like, "What are you doing, C-3PO?" And he's like, "Taking one last look at my friends." And then like 10 seconds later, they're back to making fun of him.
Yeah, treating me like garbage. Actually,
Yeah.
Like Han wants to shoot him all the time. Obi-Wan has no respect for droids. They just get such a raw end of the deal, and it's nice to see everyone treat B2 as part of the family, not just the vacuum cleaner.
imagine if B2 got fucking decapitated like
I could not handle
R5
that.
did, like R5 did by that buzz droid. Imagine if out of nowhere, just he's walking down the street and a fucking buzz droid pops out of one of those stalls and rips B2's head off. Like,
just 50 minutes of torture porn against B. Like, no, that would wreck me. I couldn't do it.
Like,
But
there's no
it's
way
probably-
he survives
Oh, well, have you heard the theory that he gets his brain gets transferred to
the Death Star.
no, the what's that droid that was hanging out with
K2SO.
K2SO, yeah.
I don't really buy that. I don't think they've really got similar personalities.
No,
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, it'd be kind of neat, but it doesn't.
B2 isn't
thematically
Alan
sense.
Tudyk, so
Well, you make the excuse that the whatever device made his voice change and also his personality and every other trait about him.
Wow, what a meaningful transition.
so it's like the transporter problem, but if someone else was using it instead.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's like in Captain America, where Captain America, he's all like kind of wimpy before the transition, but he is brave. And then he jumps on that grenade or whatever, and he gets in his new body, and he's like, "Oh yeah, like I'm ready to fucking go." Maybe that'll be the same thing with BMO. He's only like this way because he's in his shitty little robot box body. Then he gets into the absolute Chad Imperial security droid body, and he's just like, no problem.
But this doesn't get us anywhere because K2 dies as well.
Well, it's doubly sad then.
Yeah.
But
I wouldn't like that. I hope
Neither
that.
would I.
I did find it funny that dog pisses on B2 in his first scene. That was pretty good.
Yeah, that's like the only little bit of Star Wars humor like we've gotten in the show. The hound pissing.
So on our
Those are real dogs, by the way. Sorry. There's real
Justin,
dogs in those
they're made
costumes.
up. They're okay. Just
I saw a thing today. There are actual
Okay,
dogs
buddy.
inside the costume. I thought they would just do that with special effects, but they're actual dogs. It's so cool. There's some behind the scenes pictures where they've got the entire hound costume on except for the head, and I was like, what the fuck? These are real dogs.
yeah, usually they just get kids to go do those parts.
Yeah.
The Andor team is strongly against the mistreatment of animals on set, which is why we feel so terrible about all those dogs we killed.
So they make a good TV show, boys. Away she goes.
Last episode that we talked about, one of the longer conversations we had was that I was saying I would have liked to see some direct acknowledgement of aliens in the galaxy beyond just like using the one guy as comic relief when he was kind of the muscle going after Cassian. And I'm happy to say, like, what they did this episode, that was all I wanted. We had a nice explicit mention of it. We saw the two aliens who were like talking about their situation. They were involved. We didn't have to spend too much time with them, and then off they went. That was all I wanted. I'm happy. Thank you, Andor, for giving me what I needed.
Yeah, they seem like pretty good guys, just vibing, you know?
Yeah, Scob the Empire. Who hasn't been going through their day? They like burn their mouth on their tea or something and just lets out a Scob the Empire for it. So relatable.
Yeah, I instantly turned on subtitles.
I did not, so I still don't really know what they were talking about. But I saw myself
the
in them,
subtitles.
so.
The subtitles don't clear it up any.
Oh, okay.
Like, yeah.
What, you don't understand what Scob means?
I do not know.
It's fuck the Empire, but Scob instead.
That was one of the rumors that someone was going to say "fuck the Empire" at some point. Those exact words.
Was it an actual rumor?
Yeah.
I love it. Then Wikipedia gets a fuck entry.
They want it anyways, and they want it to be a Twilight picture.
They're just waiting for it.
We win the breast fight just to put it in the Oh well.
I don't vibe with Wikipedia anymore. I'm beefing with them.
We're gonna have next week. Do we just need to have a full drama download instead of talking about anything? I know Andor will be done, but
Just gonna call it all my haters.
the EckhartsLadder drama podcast.
That's gonna be a long one.
It's gonna be a long one. I'm trying to start a fight with Taylor Swift fans today because they weren't able to buy her tickets or something. So I said that alongside being an eco-terrorist, which we all knew because she flies everywhere. She's got like 6 jets. I said, besides being an eco-terrorist, she's a brutal capitalist and a hater of her fans. So,
well, I hate her fans too, so maybe we got something in common, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
Actually, I
that
don't
actually kind of made me like her a bit more.
Nice.
Well, the Taylor Swift fans are a lot like when they got that news. It was a lot like when Cyril got that call in his mom's apartment from...
Is this you trying to get us back on track?
Yeah, from his second in command about how Cassian would be going back to Ferrix. So I was kind of thinking of the many, many people who are trying to track down Cassian. Like, as much as Cassian and Cyril's stories kind of reflect each other, I felt like he was the one that was most likely to kind of fall apart before he actually got to Cassian. Like, because otherwise we have some sort of confrontation with Daedra, with Val, and with Cyril. And I was leaning towards before this
Cinta
episode
as well.
Yeah,
we know she's there.
I don't know if it's going to be like a 5-way standoff with them all there, but
Karn is a character, like, I don't want to say identify with him. I guess I just like I understand him, I guess, or I think I understand him. But since episode 1, 2, whenever he first showed up, like, I've been so invested in his story. He's like the kind of character I've wanted to see all throughout Star Wars, and I really hope he makes it to the end of this thing.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting because the story could have easily went like in one of 2 ways. Kind of, I think the way you and I were expecting, Mark, where maybe he kind of sees like he's been manipulated by circumstance and, you know, or he goes the other way, which is what he did, where he just fully doubles down and becomes a weird, creepy stalker and, you know, a lot of other things. So
I want him to have that moment of realization. Like, I want him to like realize that he's just a tool to these people he's devoted himself to right before he kind of dies. I think any kind of redemption for him would disrupt the whole like progression of his character. So that's where I hope he ends up. If he becomes a bounty hunter, I'm going to lose a bet and be incredibly embarrassed. So that can't happen.
There's no way he's a bounty hunter. He's not.
I know.
The dude's the most limp wrist dude I've seen in my entire life. I don't think he could. Yeah.
Well, tell this guy I made a bet to, because I'm in deep trouble if it happens.
Is this Alex again?
No, it's a friend of Alex's.
Okay.
He was on our team for Operation Ace. Ryan, you might know him.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Because usually don't you usually make a bet with Alex and then you win almost all of them despite the fact that he's supposed to know better?
Well, there's been one bet, and I retroactively won thanks to Mr. Eckhart here, but...
the Boba Fett one?
The Boba Fett appearance in...
Yeah. How did I help win that?
Well, you showed up in the video to declare a summary judgment of some kind.
Oh, right. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
So I was really like for that one. Well, I mean, there's plenty of like off-stream bets that I like. God, you know, Alex loses every argument against me, and that's why he's so angry and jealous. You know,
that's always the vibe I get from Alex.
Well, he hides it really well, but if you know him, you can see the signs. He is just being eaten alive.
Yeah. Anytime I tune in to watch him and Molly build Legos, you can see just a frothing resentment towards you, just bubbling beneath the surface.
Thank you. I mean, you want to talk about Twitter beef? I mean, we got to talk about that guy, but not to derail things too much. Sorry, Corey. What's scene we on now?
Let's talk about the shop scene. Unless there's, you know, I had a realization that I'm an actual moron during this episode. I didn't realize the woman in the shop was the same one that approached Vel on the street. I thought that was somebody completely different.
Which woman in the shop? Cinta?
No, the
okay.
shop.
You're talking about you're talking about Clea.
I didn't realize that was the woman who approached her on the street. I thought that was somebody who's only appeared once, and I was like, oh, that was her. Yeah, I'm a moron.
Vel and Clea both look kind of different in their first appearances outside of their normal context, so it's understandable.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of theories about these two, because there's definitely something going on. Either they've just been, they're all kind of, uneasy lines. People are saying, oh, maybe they were dating at one point. Some people are saying maybe they're actually sisters. I don't think they're sisters. I don't know if they were dating, but there's definitely kind of something bubbling beneath the surface there, I think.
I hope it's nothing like romantic. I want people to just be like professionals who disagree with each other's goals. You don't need to inject that kind of melodrama into everything.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm probably going to be wrong, but I like the way that Clea held her own when called out.
Yeah.
Like there is no recently, I think was their line, or there is no something or other. It's like always, and that would like the dialogue in the show is so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's been an interesting character because at the very beginning, like you are wondering at first whether she knows anything. Then it's like, okay, she's just working for Luthen, and now kind of more and more it seems like, yeah, she's like directly involved in shit. Which I've been appreciating.
Like, competent. She's keeping track of like who's driving. Like everyone's so good at their job in the show. It's incredible. And compared to Boba Fett, where like nobody knows what they're doing, it's. I love it. I love it so much.
It seems like Luthen is probably going to go off the deep end or down in some way. Then Clea will probably still be in some kind of position with the rebellion for a while. I'm looking forward to season 2, where we'll start getting like the early days of Leia's time in the rebellion, maybe get some Bail in there as well, and we can maybe see some resolution of like Mon Mothma's family life. We'll have a scene where Leia, Leda, and Clea start talking to each other, and no one has any fucking clue what's going on.
Can we talk about that right now, Leda? Because I put a video out on this today, and it's something that I want to talk about. Because I've seen some really awful takes online.
About the arranged marriage situation, or not?
No, about Leda and Mon Mothma's relationship.
Okay.
Where... I could tell a lot of these people are parents probably just because of the way they're writing, and I'm like, fuck, I would hate to have this person be my mom. I've seen so many people call Leda like an ungrateful. I've seen the word brat so many times.
Ooh.
And like because she doesn't like, they're like, Mon Mothma's such a great. Well, I'm just gonna pull up this Reddit thing I saw because it was at the time anyway really highly upvoted, and it was really bad.
Yeah.
And it was kind of one of a few. I'm just pulling it up now. But it's all kind of about, because obviously Leda and Mon Mothma have a strained relationship, to put it lightly. So this is what the quote said. It says, "Holy, Leda Mothma is so infuriating to me. The glare she gives Mon when she hugged Vel just irked me. Such a little shit. Your mother is an incredibly empathetic and smart woman, and you just despise her. She does so much good, and you've estranged yourself to what? Cozy up to your piece of shit father who doesn't give a shit about anyone and likes fascism? Such a far cry from Jobin, a hero and person willing to lay down his life at the drop of a hat to defend the innocence of the galaxy." So, like, in my opinion, that's a complete misread of the situation. Like, I like the Mothma family because it's so complex.
Like, relatable. I mean, what's her face? Leda doesn't know she's living in a Star Wars, right? She doesn't know that her mom's doing all this stuff, I assume.
Yeah, like Mon Mothma's good deeds aren't really out there for everyone to see, and as far as Leda's concerned, she just has a kind of absentee mother who cares more about her job, even if her job is important, than about her, and especially when she doesn't know the exact nature of that work. And
I mean, even if she did.
Yeah,
sorry.
But like, well, Perrin obviously has some terrible views in other ways, or he's at the very least willing to go along with the fascist state because he likes the lifestyle. He's giving Leda the attention that she wants or needs at that age. She's like, what, 14, 16?
13, yeah. I think she's 13, maybe.
She doesn't have like a big conception of galactic politics in her mind. She has her two parents, one who doesn't have a job, is just there hanging out with her all day, and one who's never there.
In a worse show, she'd be like sneaking off with like a laser slingshot to like pluck away at stormtroopers, and so like this realistic angry teenager I think is perfectly great.
Yeah, like it, she is being neglected. Like, it's clear. I think it's episode 5, which really shows Mon Mothma is not around a lot.
Yeah.
And it's like, you understand why, but you also understand why your kid hates her. It's like the one time they're supposed to hang out, Leda doesn't even want to do it because it's like, you're just doing this because you think it makes you look good. There's also a really interesting comment I wanted to read on the video that I was discussing, where it said it's kind of about Perrin, because Perrin's obviously a bit of a dingus, but he's not. I don't think he's supposed to be like an open fascist or anything like that. He's like, I'll just read the comment. He said, Tony Gilroy said in an interview that Perrin is one of his favorite characters. He's an Epicurean seeking calm pleasure in a city filled with people only interested in war and politics. Obviously, his passivity can create an environment in which fascism can rise unimpeded, and that's a problem. It's a pretty central theme to the show, but to call him a fascist directly is missing the point.
Yeah.
And I agree. He's living this life where everything he owes to the Empire, he's, rubbing shoulders. He's maybe not being as introspective as he should be, but he's also just trying to keep his family together. And
he's certainly closer to it, but like, Perrin is ultimately supposed to be 90% of us in that situation.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly, and it's the same with Karn. Like, I hate these people who rag on Karn so much, because people assume there's some like switch in your head that flicks from good person to fascist, whereas I think it's more nuanced than that. I think it's the whole point of the show. So yeah, that parent guy, like, you don't have to be a card carrying member of the Nazis or the Empire or whatever to benefit from that and to find your way working into that system.
Yeah, so I agree, and the whole that's the thing. The whole family dynamic is so interesting, and it's frustrating when people try to write it off as Mon Mothma good, Leda Mothma bad. It's like she's just doing, she hates her mom because you would hate her too,
To be fair, though, I think Rebels and Clone Wars have like trained people to interpret Star Wars in this way because it's not usually this nuanced, at least to my limited knowledge. I haven't seen all the episodes, I guess.
I think Rebels kind of approached that. Like, it dealt with family. Like, I really like Rebels. I'm not that big on Clone Wars, and Rebels is kind of all about family. And, it's kind of the same thing with Ezra's parents. They end up kind of abandoning him for the cause. And there is kind of about Hera and Kanan just sometimes just not being, like, they're kind of the stand-in parents for Ezra and just kind of not being there. So I would say...
Do you think it's a bit more blunt in those shows? Because they're appealing to younger audiences, and they don't need to rag on them.
No, I'd say it is definitely more blunt, but I think Rebels in particular, I don't take a lot away from the Clone Wars thematically, to be honest. I'm not a big Clone Wars guy. I think Rebels is kind of more about touching on all the general themes of Star Wars, like, what it means to be a Jedi, what it means, like, how why family's important, all these things, kind of reiterating the same message over and over again, whereas this is a much more kind of nuanced depiction of not only Star Wars stuff, but, real world things as well.
Well, this relationship is also something that we've seen in the New Jedi Order series as well with Jaina and Leia, where the fact that Han and Leia were like good people doing good things, but that resulted in their kids kind of paying the price in how they were able to develop because they didn't have that attention. They were always with Winter while she was trying to have sex with a fish, which, like, when someone's trying to have sex with a fish near you, then it can be difficult to kind of fulfill those emotional needs. And
are you speaking from personal experience? It seems like this is very meaningful to you.
Look, when you grow up in Niagara, like, there's a lot of...
He did disappear around the Halifax waterfront very suspiciously.
It's not weird. It's not weird.
Came back wiping his hands. What did they call it? A fishmonger coming out of the fishmonger? Yeah, I don't know.
That's the real point, though. Do you think that might repeat himself with Leda? Do you think, like, the price of Mon Mothma's dedication to the cause is her own daughter and husband, I guess?
Well, that's kind of an interesting one because I think she is willing to sacrifice her daughter for one. And, like, that's kind of what all the show's about, great sacrifices. And it is like, people are saying that, it's just a play date with the kid, basically. Like, no, it's not. This is a marriage. Like, you can see that Leda is very clearly in to the Chandrilan custom. Mon Mothma's not crying because she's, wants the TV and the kids are going to have it. Like, she knows that they're probably going to get married. I think it would be interesting if the guy's kid doesn't turn out to be a total slime ball. I think it's possible that we never actually find out.
Yeah.
But she is willing to sacrifice her kid, basically.
Well, and it seems even more complex because Leda seems into it. Like, she was doing that weird chant thing. I feel like she'd be...
That's what I mean, yeah. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
When like, she's brought to Coruscant, she doesn't have any real exposure to the culture she came from. So having that kind of connection back to her home, when, like, everything she knows on Coruscant is the stuff that's keeping her away from her mom. So she'd blame that almost as much as she'd blame Mon Mothma herself. I think
that's a good read. I like that.
So, like, having that connection to her home world, that's the closest thing she can get to what she'd see as a normal life with her normal family.
Mm-hmm. And then you have Mon Mothma, the progressive, who is trying to, move beyond all that.
Yeah, I read someone make the comparison to, like, second generation immigrants will often, like, the first generation will try to, find their way in local culture. And then you often see, like, the second generation kind of look back more to, like, their customs and stuff from wherever they came from. That's kind of what it reminded me of as well. But the thing is, like, she is kind of knowing all this and giving her kid away to the son of a slime ball.
Yeah.
You know, like he's not a good dude. Whatever he's doing, like, you know,
So
we don't know exactly what he's a thug. Basically,
I do want to kind of clarify something I said about Perrin a little bit more. When I'm saying like 90% of us would be him, I'm not saying like explicitly the fascist sympathizer. I'm saying in anything that we do with modern life right now, anything that is in our standard of living, and for most of the people listening, I'm assuming, and for any of us, there are elements of that lifestyle that is only enabled by suffering and exploitation elsewhere. And what Perrin is doing is he's showing he's okay with that because he doesn't want to be deprived of that standard of living. He's accepting that. And that's what I'm saying most people would be okay with. And I think that's part of what the show is trying to do with that. Not that 90% of people would see Emperor Palpatine and be like, hey, thumbs up to you. Just, I like my standard of living right now with my car, my energy consumption, my material consumption. And I know not everyone can do that, and only I can do that. Or I can only do that because other people can't. But a lot of people wouldn't take the next step and say, okay, so I have to stop doing this.
I've got to at least make some leftist YouTube videos. At least.
I mean, yeah, but like it's his inaction benefits fascism, even if he's not.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Yeah, and I mean, like, yeah, I definitely relate to that because we've all, you know, I think we have all lived under government policies you don't agree with, but how many of us even, you know, vote, let alone take up arms or whatever?
Yeah, that's a good point. No, I get what you mean, Corey. I think that's a good take.
Well, I mean,
I'm still going to cancel. I'm still going to cancel you.
I vote in every election at least 5 times. I'm doing my part.
I remember when my son was 1. I think it was 1. Whenever the last federal election was, I took him to vote, and I posted on Facebook, like, just took my son around the city to vote a few times, and there was somebody who thought I was serious, and they were like, "Excuse me." I guess it wouldn't have been the last federal election. That was like last year. Maybe I don't know, whatever. But the one before that.
Well, get your voter fraud properly documented, Justin, so we can know.
Yeah. I remember though, I told him we were going voting, and he thought we were going voting. And I don't think he's ever been more disappointed in his whole life. Because my dad's got a boat, so we thought we were going on the boat, and I'm like, no, we're going voting. It's kind of less epic, but also, you know.
I mean, the whole thing with Andor, with so many of these characters, is setting up these issues where you can understand where everyone is coming from, but with most of them, you can kind of see where the correct, like, what is supposed to be the correct action being taken by the character, like where they're making the right choice. But it's also the kind of situation that if you were to imagine yourself in, you can't necessarily be sure that you'd have the information or you'd have the moral strength to do the right thing. And I think that's what makes it so much more interesting than just Anakin went and slaughtered an entire village. Clearly that's the wrong thing.
You should not do that. Yeah, the Spellhouse raid, I think, is a really good example of that, where it's like, yeah, he's cultivated this mole who's obviously pretty high in the ISB. And it's like, is it worth, you know, losing 30 men to save him? Like, if you look at it on a pure balance sheet, probably, like, you'll probably, you know, get enough assets and battles and whatever that those 30 men will be replaced. But, you know, you're also still fucking over 30 people fighting for the cause, you know?
Yeah, Corey, you talked about people knowing or being able to tell when people are making the right or wrong choice, but we can only tell that because we have the outside context of knowing this is a Star Wars story. So I maintain, and I might be wrong, I'd have to rewatch it, but I think that Cyril Karn especially hasn't done anything like morally wrong yet. He's up to the edge with like his weird like stalking stuff. But he's trying to hunt down a murderer, you know?
The
like,
thing with that, I think one of the things with Cyril is that he's so often so willing to ignore the things that would show him that what he's supporting is wrong. So the first scene we have with him and his kind of commanding officer when he's starting his obsession with Andor, his commanding officer lays out exactly what happened very accurately on how Andor ended up in that situation and how the system that Cyril is supporting and thinks represents that order is not what he thinks it is, how they were equally responsible for what happened. And they were also doing things that if he was being like truly objective and I'm just hunting down a murderer, he would have been just as concerned about rooting out the actual corruption, not just the corruption that stops him from hunting down this murderer. Like there are other directions he could have taken that desire for order, rather than just assuming that the system is always doing the right thing for them, and kind of looking past everything that the ISB has done wrong, that Priox Morlana, what's it called? I think it's Priox Morlana has done wrong. Like, he's been given so many opportunities to reevaluate his underlying assumptions, and he has not taken any of them. So it's not that he is like as much of a unredeemable character as, say, Daedra is, or some of the other like dyed-in-the-wool Imperials are, but he's not taking those opportunities. He's not examining those assumptions, and it's...
I'm not sure I agree.
I'll say there's a couple moments where I kind of feel like his biggest kind of sin is just closing his eyes. Like, he's seen firsthand when Priox Morlana, what I think of is him barging in to Marva's house, you know, throwing her up against the wall. He knows that a civilian was killed needlessly under his watch, essentially, when it was, what's his name? Just that guy who told on Andor. And he's also seen that the Empire really isn't, you know, this fair beacon of law and order that he thinks it is. Like, when he's working at the factory, he gets his entire record expunged basically because he knows a dude, or because his uncle really knows a dude, and they're willing, he can just, with a tap on the tablet, wipe it away, while there are people in prison who have just had their sentences doubled. So I think the thing he's most guilty of is maybe not being, you know, closing his eyes to some of the unfairness.
Yeah, his reaction to having his record expunged surprised me, because I would have thought that he would have seen the hypocrisy in that, or he would have realized that, oh shit, the Empire is just as corrupt as Priox Morlana. But
yeah, that's what I thought he was going the other way.
He still could. His expression did seem a little surprised. It's hard to know. I hope they don't ignore that.
Yeah, well, I hope so too, because he's definitely like a very real character, you know, like he's clearly become obsessed over Andor, and you know.
Well, I think he's looking for a father in first Priox Morlana and now the Empire. Like, he's seeking the approval of an institution.
Yeah.
God, I love Karn. He's like the best character.
Yeah, he's really good.
Well, I think like at the core of it is that he is doing that. He's looking for that institution to approve of him, but he's also, his dedication to order is more to like the letter of the law than being willing to critically examine systemic issues.
But he's also living in a system where that is designed to prevent him from being able to do that, right?
Right. It's not entirely his fault, but that is the path he's going down. And he has had those opportunities to at least examine it a little bit more. And he's starting to. We do see that bit of a reaction with like, oh, if they are willing to expunge my record, or even if they're not looking into the murder as much as I think they should. But he's not like expanding it one step beyond that of like, if they're not looking into the murder, what are the things are they doing that is making the situation worse and should maybe make me feel more sorry for the people on Ferrix whose lives I'm willing to entirely uproot to get Cassian.
Yeah, and I think right now he's like centered on the ISB, where maybe he's like, okay, so the whatever place I was working in, there's some issues there. Priox Morlana, there's some issues there, but the ISB, they know what they're doing. Those are the guys for me. He keeps like switching from institution to institution.
Yeah. And eventually he's going to end up, and the Imperial Guard will get a flash forward to him standing on the second Death Star, happy in his red cloak, and then he explodes.
Man, he needs his, before Cyril Karn, my favorite character was Moff Jerjerrod. And it was because of a scene that got deleted from the movie. But
is that the one on the Death Star?
Yeah.
Where they tell him to blow the planet up?
Yeah, and he's like, but we still got guys on the planet, and the Emperor
like,
just do it.
He's like, fuck those dudes.
and he has like this moment, Jerjerrod is like, he realizes that he's dedicated his life to this institution that doesn't think of him at all, you know? He could have been on that planet. He could have been the one to get blown up. So he's hesitating, and he's like, in a single moment, his life view gets destroyed. And I'm waiting for Karn to go through that same moment.
And that was after being choked out by Darth Vader as well in that one scene. Well, he was originally supposed to be, I don't think they ever filmed this, but like in the original scripts, Jerjerrod was supposed to be like almost not quite a Palpatine level villain, but like more of a Tarkin level villain. Where in the movie he kind of, I don't even know if they say his name in the movie. Probably once, but like he was originally supposed to be like one of like in the early scripts, he was going to be the guy on Coruscant, maybe even like higher above Vader, like on, it wasn't called Coruscant at the time, but on the Imperial homeworld.
Yeah.
But obviously his role was diminished.
Well, it was funny because my read on like, it's not a lot to go on, right? But my read on his character from that deleted scene was like, this was a good man who was in service to an evil regime and figured that out way too late. But since then, in the expanded universe stuff, it's like, oh no, he was a bully and a jerk, and he did all the mean things. Like, it's like, okay, you've ruined it.
It's kind of funny if you look up Jared on the Star Wars page, like on the Star Wars data bank page. It's that picture from the deleted scene.
Sorry, is it Jared or Jared Gerard? I don't know how to pronounce that.
I don't know.
Gerard, but
okay.
I don't think it's. Yeah. I don't know if it's ever officially said out loud enough to really matter.
There's a really good short story from a certain point of view about what's the fucking name of the Imperial that Vader chokes in Empire Strikes Back?
Nita?
Yeah, Nita.
I said it first. I want it on the record. I finally got something right.
Yeah, so there's a short story in a certain point of view, the second one, obviously, about Nita. Obviously. Or no, not Nita. The guy who comes out of Lightspeed too close to the planet.
Ozzel?
Ozzel, yeah, Ozzel. I'm forgetting all my Imperials today. Yeah, so there's
clumsy as he is stupid.
Yes. So there's one about Ozzel as he's being choked out, and that it's kind of exactly what.
Keep going.
Yeah, no, it's exactly what Mark's talking about. It's like he's thinking about like his mother and leaving his planet and how he's wasted his life serving evil. It's really good. It's actually very sad.
Damn, I should read that. That sounds exactly what I want. Yeah,
it's one of my favorite Star Wars short stories. I never seen anyone talk about it, but it's so good. It's like it's like a tearjerker almost. It's very good. But yeah, I'd recommend that one.
There was actually an extended version of that scene when they came out and Vader said that, where one of the officers in the background was like, "It's a very sick burn, sir." But they had to cut it for time.
That's why I like yeah. The whole scene is just on the Super Star Destroyer there. There's so many funny scenes where like Imperials are just standing like really close to each other, and it's just like they just don't get the set quite right. I don't know. It's funny.
A little off topic here, but I love when Piet is like just complaining to some guy about the bounty hunters. Like, that's so unprofessional to complain to you, like your
contractors.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember the one scene that's really funny is when Vader calls General Veers, he turns around and General Veers is standing like an inch away from him. And somebody edited it really well. He goes, "General Veers," and he turns around and he goes, "You're standing too close to me."
Well, Veers was a capable guy. That was a power move on his part. That was intentional.
Oh yeah, totally. If you could have Vader swish his cape and turn around at you and you don't even flinch, that's like Kobe when whoever threw the ball at him and he didn't flinch. That's just
no, Kobe. This is an athlete of some kind.
Was an athlete.
Was an athlete.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
He did flinch some other. No, okay.
What do you mean, Corey? I don't know what you're talking about.
It's just fine. It's fine.
No.
No, it is fine. It's fine.
Okay.
God rest his soul. So it'd be horrible to finish the episode and not talk about the thing that me and Eck argued about today. The exact nature of what Luthen did and which Legends element it is most like. So to me, it was most reminiscent when Luthen lured them into powering up the tractor beam even more, and then just injected a bunch of chaff into it.
No, I agree.
It's basically what Luke does in the in Heir to the Empire when Thrawn has a lock on him. He drops the proton torpedo out, and then he kind of shifts it so they lose the track on him, and then relock onto the proton torpedo. Then it goes and blows up the proton.
No, I agree. That's what it's more closer to.
But then Thrawn kills a gunnery sergeant, and we're still supposed to think he's a reasonable person.
Yeah, so I agree that's what it's closer to. But I thought they were going with another tractor beam situation from the Thrawn trilogy, because in Book 3, our hero Luke Skywalker is once again trapped in a tractor beam, and he does something different. It's called the covert shroud technique, where he basically uses a bunch of particles, usually reflective particles, it says in the book. I reread it, and it basically just scrambles the tractor beam's computer and also gets in the way of the beam itself. It's like you're putting out a big. It's more like an actual chaff countermeasure where you're literally just chaffing, and then the reflections make it difficult. So when I saw that he was loading up, like for a second you can tell that he's shooting reflective particles. I thought that's what he was doing, but it was obviously much closer to what you suggested, which makes sense because it was really smart how they wrote it. Like he makes the tractor beam like go up from level 2 to level 10 so that the second he shoots those things out, they're going to be going 1,000,000 miles an hour when they crush into the ship, which I thought was really clever.
The details in that sequence were so awesome. That's all I can contribute here.
It has me really hoping that we get a proper space battle at some point, because the Rogue One space battle is the best. And this brief instant, it reminded me of it in a lot of ways, like the speed of the ship, like I don't know. It's just like Rogue One managed to capture just like a feeling of flight and movement and like velocity. And in this brief space battle, especially where he buzzes the bridge, I felt that again.
There was something weird with the space scenes in Kenobi. Like the cinematography and the framing of those shots made it look kind of awkward and slow and just weird. And I was struck by just how much better this is. Yeah,
the kind of low orbit background was cool too.
Yeah,
which is you don't usually get.
I think that ship looks stupid though.
It is a little goofy looking.
Yeah, but whatever. It still was rad when it got hit by those flechettes or whatever it was.
Yeah, it's a little annoying that it's called the Fondor. Like, why you got to name your ship after a planet?
Yeah, that I was confused by that because that's an Imperial shipyard, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was confused because it was like Fondor. When I was watching initially, I always watch with the subtitles on so I can catch any like background references, and it was saying like Fondor computer was saying something. So I was like, oh, it's a make of computer from Fondor, so the ship is probably from Fondor. But now we know, like 5 episodes later, that it's because the ship is named the Fondor.
I think they said it at some point earlier than that. I'm pretty sure in episode 4 he says the Fondor, but
I was exaggerating.
When he's talking about Cassian, he's like, I had him on the Fondor and on all that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's true. See, if I really want to know something, I'll go back and listen to it with the descriptive audio on for blind people. And sometimes there are good things. Like sometimes there is real information in there.
The Dark Troopers.
The Dark Troopers.
Dark Troopers. Yeah, that was a big one. Yeah.
Well, the subtitles got me the Telgorn cruise line stuff going to Hosnian Prime. That episode had like 5 or 6 callbacks to.
I think it's the Jakku as well, didn't it? Stuff. Maybe.
Yeah,
oh yeah.
In my video today, I accidentally called Jeddah Jakku, and I have to delete my channel now.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oof. Oh, should we talk about what happened when you were here, when we were getting drinks with your channel?
Yeah, go for it. Oh, fuck, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, should I say what you... Okay, so Corey put out a video that wasn't doing very well.
Yeah.
And he...
We were trying to talk about, like... I was trying to come up with a new title and talk to Justin about it.
Yeah, and I was upset because we were at a cocktail bar, and it was way more expensive than I realized. No, I'm just joking about that part. But
it was.
But yeah, it ended up being expensive. But anyway, he renamed the video to "Watch This," or I'm going to.
Please watch this video, or I'll kill myself.
Please watch this video, or I'm going to effing kill myself. Kill myself. And I clicked save. So his video is that instantly email from YouTube. Your video has been age restricted.
Oh my god.
I just was not thinking.
I'm drinking with you, Mr. Eckhart.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
It's not a joke that I would make in a public forum generally, but I figured Eck wouldn't be in a position to be triggered by that or anything. So I made that joke, and then Eck saved it, and immediately age restricted is like, okay, well, my channel's dead now. Thanks.
Yeah, I actually felt really, really bad until it was like fine.
You said, oh, I'll do a community link, and then you never did. So it's fine.
Oh shit! Didn't I? I thought I did it right then and there. Okay, well,
because I said don't do it until I have a new title.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, that was a fun night.
Yeah, I still haven't dismissed the notification in studio that it happened. So it's just anytime I go onto Datapad, it's just sitting there
Part of history.
staring at me in the face.
Yeah. A lot of that night was the fun thing about going drinking with Charlie is like, for some reason, the guy's the most, I'd say for some reason, that sounds weird. The guy's the most confident guy ever when it comes to talking to women. So you'd be like, Charlie, go make friends with not just women, go make friends with that group. And he'll go, all right, mate. He'll just saunter off. And we did that on that night. And he was gone for like 2 hours, Corey?
Yeah, the entire time we were at the bar, it was just me and you talking to each other because Charlie was off making new friends. And that was my last night there, so
yeah, he's just gone.
That.
Yeah.
Oh well. All right. Any final thoughts on Andor for us, Mark? Any predictions you wanna make some bets with me? You're in favor of it. Any bets you want to make with me? Because Eck already knows what happens, but I promise I haven't watched it yet. Do we want to make a bet here about what's going to happen for anything?
I don't know if does it lend itself well to bets. I mean, the bounty hunter one is stupid. I'm going to win that one. But
do you think Cyril's going to live or die?
I want him to die, but I'm not sure if that's actually going to happen. No, the show has the balls to do it. I think he's going to die.
I think there's 2 prime candidates for dying. What's her name again?
Cinta,
Andor. No, Andor's XGF.
Bix.
Bix, and yeah, Cyril. I think those are the 2 kind of prime candidates.
You already watched the goddamn show?
I'm
not betting on it. I'm not going to bet on it.
Bix has gone through too much to kill her off. I think she's going to escape or something. I think that'd be too mean.
She's the one I've seen most of the discussion about. That's why I mentioned it.
Okay, so this...
I think Andor might die. I'm just not sure when.
It's a clone? Oh god, Star Wars would do that too.
Andor.
Did Kino turn into Snoke? Was the theory right after all?
Do people believe that honestly? Because that's the stupidest
I think some of them do. And I think people have been like more jokingly saying it since he disappeared at the end of that episode. Like my friend was saying,
got his scars and his face is all messed up because he couldn't swim and he got eaten by sharks.
Yeah,
and then he used a Sith lightning to blast out of the water, and he can like fly through space using Sith powers. And his power level was way stronger than any other Sith ever.
So epic.
And then he got cut in half. The end.
Then he had robot legs. He's gonna be back.
My friend Nick did say there was a certain irony to dying because he wasn't able to swim and then having to spend the rest of his many lifetimes upside down in a vat. All right, I'm not feeling too strongly in either direction about Cyril living or dying to take the devil's advocate position there, though. If you think he's not going to die,
for thematic consistency, he has to die. I just don't know if the show is like, God, if it's like one of those things where, in the last episode, he's like, I just realized I'm wrong. I'm going to defect to the rebellion. I'm going to team up with Omega and we're going to throw the space marbles at the bad stormtroopers. They're going to slip and fall and yeah, I'll be done.
I wonder if the stormtroopers who are stationed in animated shows feel better than the ones in live action shows. Do they know? Do they get an assignment slip TK 723 31st Infantry Division Bad Batch Season 2?
They're assigned to shows rather than divisions. I love it. It's like all the bad stormtroopers get sent to the children's shows.
And then
where do I go, boss?
The only thing you have to worry about is being comic relief death when an Imperial gets angry, with Agent Callus kicking the one off is that the pilot?
Yeah, it's the pilot.
But anyways, I guess we're gonna be betless. But that's gonna do it.
Suspect is betless. Repeat, betless.
I'm hatless.
I do got to go in 7 minutes, but I'm disappointed that I missed out on the Twitter drama.
Yeah, we'll probably do that next week, I guess.
Do you think there'll be more drama by then or less?
Almost certainly more.
Okay.
Yeah, probably.
There's always more. It's turned into I think the Twitter drama has turned into a permanent fixture, usually at the start of the show. So,
yeah.
Well, I respect the hell out of you for fighting the good fight.
I'll just say fuck the haters. And if you're listening, that means you.
Oh, damn.
Is everyone listening?
No. Only the haters.
All right. Well, thank you to all the haters who are listening. Thank you, Mark, for joining us to share all of your thoughts. Always a pleasure.
I imagine it would be, yeah.
Don't like any.
So fucking sick of this guy.
I try to say a nice thing, and then you have to fucking ruin it.
I think I elevated it.
Okay.
Isn't that why you brought me on here? You're like,
Everyone
the ratings are doing great. We need a big guest star. We need a Luke Skywalker and Mando. Let's bring in Mark. He's gonna fire things up.
All right. Well, if everyone wants to see Mark get his comeuppance, just tune into the video being released on my gaming channel tomorrow, and we'll see who's really the best. But...
Wow, you beat me at a game that you like.
Don't spoil it.
Man alive. Oh, sorry.
Comeuppance didn't necessarily mean you lost, but he lost.
I think it kind of meant that.
Yeah.
Could have been an emotional.
I have a rich social life, Corey. So who's really winning?
I sleep in a race car bed. All right. Well, thank you again, Mark. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Next week, we'll do emails, Twitter drama, and the finale of Andor, just in our cozy standard setup. Until then, live long in the Force. Yeah.
So is that the line?
Yeah. Live long in the Force. Not in the Force, and the Force.
And beyond.